Have you ever wondered what happens when legends collide, where not only kings and giants, but also fearless shield maidens face off on the battlefield? The Battle of Bråvalla wasn't just any fight. It was a legendary clash between Denmark and Sweden, filled with larger-than-life warriors, mythical forces, and a story that still echoes through history. Some say the gods themselves determined the outcome, but what role did these fierce women warriors play? Today, we'll unravel the mysteries behind one of Scandinavia's most epic battles. In the heart of the Viking Age, there was a legendary battle that shook the very foundation of the Norse world. The Battle of Bråvalla, fought between the armies of King Harald Hildebrand of Denmark and King Sigurd of Sweden, is a tale woven with both history and myth. Some say it marked the end of an era, while others believe it was the gods themselves who determined the outcome. But what made this battle so unique? It wasn't just the clash of kings and warriors. Shield maidens also fought fiercely on the battlefield, leaving an unforgettable mark on history. Who were these mighty kings, and what forces led them to clash? And could it be that the fearless shield maidens played a larger role in the battle than we've been told? Do you think women like these shield maidens fought alongside men? Or are their stories exaggerated in the sagas? Let's find out. As King Harald Hildebrand of Denmark and King Sigurd of Sweden prepared for war, the tension between the cousins grew unbearable. Harald, now an aging ruler, had once been a great conqueror, uniting vast territories under his reign. But as the years passed, he feared losing his power. Sigurd, younger and more ambitious, saw an opportunity to challenge his cousin and expand his own kingdom. What began as a family rivalry escalated into one of the greatest battles of the Viking Age. Alliances were forged, warriors were called to arms, and the gods themselves seemed to have a stake in the coming battle. Some legends say that Odin, in disguise as Harald's charioteer, whispered words of encouragement, promising him either victory or a glorious death on the battlefield. Harald, despite his age, was determined to fight one last time, and he gathered a massive army, including not only men, but even war elephants, a rare and fearsome sight in Norse warfare. But this war wasn't fought by men alone. Among Sigurd's forces were fierce shield maidens, women warriors who stood shoulder to shoulder with the men. Viborg, one of the most famous shield maidens of the time, led her contingent with unmatched courage. Her name would become legendary for the part she played in the battle that was about to unfold. What do you think? Was Harald driven by fear, ambition, or the will of the gods? And do you believe that shield maidens like Viborg truly fought alongside these warriors? Or are their tales exaggerated in the sagas? The battlefield of Bråvalla was a stage set for legends. King Harald's army was vast, composed of fierce Danes, Germans, and Saxons, while King Sigurd commanded an equally fearsome force of Swedes, Norsemen, and Finns. Harald's army included the famous giant Starkad, a warrior said to be over 200 years old, who wielded a sword given to him by Odin himself. But Harald's strength wasn't just in sheer numbers. It was in the diversity and experience of his troops. On the other side, Sigurd's forces were bolstered by warriors known for their savage fighting style. But it was the presence of the shield maidens that set them apart. These women warriors, though fewer in number, fought with a ferocity that was legendary. Among them was Veiborg, whose name would forever be linked to the bravery displayed that day. Veiborg wasn't just a warrior, she was a leader, commanding her forces with precision and inspiring those around her with her unbreakable will. But she wasn't the only one. Other shield maidens like Visna and Hyde also took to the field. Visna, according to some sagas, even faced the giant Starcad in single combat, wounding the towering warrior before being overcome by his sheer strength. These shield maidens weren't mere myth. Their presence and actions were written into the very fabric of the battle. Many accounts of the battle mention that Harald's army was accompanied by war elephants, an extraordinary sight in Scandinavian warfare. Some believe these beasts would terrify Sigurd's forces, but the shield maidens leading the charge helped break the fear and rally their troops. Do you think shield maidens like Veiborg and Visna were just as vital to the battle as the male warriors? And can you imagine the sight of war elephants charging into a Viking battle? Let's discuss how these details may have changed the course of history. The day of the battle arrived, and the air was thick with tension. As the armies of King Harald Hildetan and King Sigurd Ring faced each other, the ground trembled beneath the feet of tens of thousands of warriors. The clang of swords and shields echoed as war horns blared, signaling the beginning of one of the bloodiest battles in Viking history. The two armies clashed with such force that it was said the very sky darkened, as if the gods themselves were watching. Sigurd's forces, young and fierce, surged forward with a relentless momentum. Harald's army, though older and battle-hardened, fought valiantly, led by legendary figures like Starcad. However, what truly set this battle apart were the fearless shield maidens who fought alongside Sigurd's men. At the front lines, Veiborg, one of the most feared warriors of the day, led a charge that broke through Harald's defenses. Her sword cut through the ranks of men as if she were driven by the gods themselves. The battle raged on for hours and chaos ensued. The sheer scale of the conflict was unimaginable, but through the fog of war, the shield maidens stood out, not just as symbols of bravery, but as crucial fighters who turned the tide of battle. Veiborg, in particular, was said to have slain multiple high-ranking commanders, including one of Harald's most trusted leaders. Her bravery inspired those around her and struck fear into the hearts of her enemies. Some sagas mention that Veiborg fought alongside other shield maidens, such as Hyde, who led a small but formidable unit that ambushed key parts of Harald's army. Their actions were decisive in several key moments of the battle, proving that these women were far more than just myth. Can you imagine standing on the battlefield, surrounded by warriors and shield maidens fighting for their lives? Do you think Veiborg and her fellow shield maidens were truly key to Sigurd's victory? Or is this another Viking saga that's been embellished over time? Share your thoughts in the comments. As the battle raged on, it became clear that brute strength alone would not determine the outcome. Sigurd Ring, known for his cunning mind, used the terrain to his advantage. His forces maneuvered swiftly, creating traps that Harald's army, despite its experience, struggled to counter. The shield maidens, with their agile movements and fearless leadership, played a key role in executing these tactics. Veiborg and her fellow shield maidens led precision strikes that destabilized Harald's flanks. creating opportunities for Sigurd's forces to break through. Harald Hildetand, though an old man, fought with the valor of a young warrior. At the front of his army, he swung his sword with the strength of a king who had seen a lifetime of battles. But fate, or perhaps the gods, had other plans. In the chaos of the fighting, Harald's troops began to falter. And then, in the most dramatic turn of the battle, Harald was struck down. Some say it was Odin himself, disguised as Harald's charioteer, who delivered the final blow, ensuring the old king would die a warrior's death and join his ancestors in Valhalla. Valborg, leading a final charge at the critical moment, helped deliver the decisive blow to Harald's remaining forces. While Harald's death marked the collapse of his army, it was the Shieldmaidens' continued attacks on the weakened flanks that ensured his defeat. Their role was not only to fight, but to inspire and maintain the momentum that ultimately led to Sigurd's victory. According to some versions of the saga, Odin's role in Harald's fall wasn't just to ensure his death, but also to shift the balance of power among the gods. Harald's death was seen as a necessary step in ending an era of great heroes and ushering in a new age. Do you believe Harald's fall was truly guided by Odin's hand, or was it Sigurd's strategy and the fierce Shieldmaidens that sealed his fate? Could the presence of Shieldmaidens like Valborg have changed how this battle was won? I'd love to hear what you think in the comments below. With the death of Harald Hildetand, the once mighty Danish army crumbled, and Sigurd Ring emerged victorious. The Battle of Bråvalla, while a triumph for Sigurd, marked the end of an era, a time when legends of kings, giants, and shield maidens walked the earth. But this battle was more than just a fight for power. It was a symbol of the shifting tides in Norse society. Many believed that with Harald's fall, the age of great heroes began to fade, and a new age of kings and organized kingdoms arose. The Shieldmaidens, however, left a lasting impression. Figures like Valborg, Visna, and Heid became immortalized in sagas for their bravery and skill on the battlefield. Valborg's leadership and fierce combat skills ensured her place as a warrior legend. The sagas would continue to tell of their valor, inspiring generations to come. Though shield maidens became less common in the years that followed, their legacy lived on in the stories passed down through the ages. Some stories say that after the battle, Sigurd Ring personally honored the shield maidens who fought bravely, granting them lands and titles in recognition of their service. This further cemented their status not just as warriors, but as key figures in Viking society. Do you think the Battle of Bråvalla truly marked the end of the heroic age? Or was it just another chapter in Viking history? And what about the shield maidens? Were they real historical figures or creations of Norse myth? Let me know what you think in the comments. The Battle of Bråvalla wasn't just a clash of kings. It was a defining moment in Viking history where legends, both mortal and divine, collided. From the cunning strategies of Sigurd Ring to the heroic last stand of Harald Hildetand, this battle remains one of the most epic stories of the Viking Age. Giants like Starkad fought alongside men, and some say the gods themselves influenced the outcome. Odin, in particular, may have ensured Harald's warrior's death, and let's not forget the fearless shield maidens like Valborg, whose bravery continues to inspire and captivate us. Their actions, along with the presence of these mythical forces, remind us that history is often more complex than it seems, woven with both fact and myth. What part of the Battle of Bråvalla stands out to you the most? Was it the king's rivalry, the giant's presence, the role of the gods, or the fearless Shieldmaidens? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this journey into Viking history, don't forget to subscribe to Salazar's Timeless Treasures for more fascinating stories from mythology and history. And while you're here, why not check out this next video on the fierce warrior women of the Vikings? Don't miss it. Just click the link and continue your adventure.